Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the top surfer on the planet over the age of 50. He's going to teach us all a business lesson about riding the waves. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I respect the discipline that it takes to be a champion in any sport. And my next guest is a champion in surfing. He is the #1 athlete over the age of 50 in surfing on the planet. Scotty Schindler is in the studio. He's known as the street smart entrepreneur. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, it's a real pleasure to be in the USA, in Dallas, on your show.
Well, thank you. I want to talk a little bit about surfing, and then we're going to get into business because you're a top motivational speaker, best-selling author. Let's talk about surfing. So, when did you become a surfer?
Look, I started surfing in Australia. We all start very young. So I started surfing when I was about 13. Well, a lot of people a lot younger than that, but I was 13. And I got a little bit addicted to sport and surfing at that age.
And that's a dangerous sport, isn't it?
Look, relatively speaking, yes, things want to eat you. And then, there's big waves. But apart from that, it's safe.
Okay, what are some business lessons, and we're going to roll some video here of you surfing. What are some business lessons that we can all learn from what you learned becoming a champion surfer?
Well, the ocean is not very predictable, so you need to be able to forecast and look at things and conditions and read the weather and know that it's not always good, but when it's good, take advantage of it. So there's so many things about sport and surfing that are relative to business too. It's not going to be good every day, and
yes,
you need to plan for when it's not good, and then when it is good, take advantage of those home runs that you get.
And make adjustments. I mean, I think about COVID, that threw us all for a loop. There was no playbook for COVID.
No.
So I want to transition from surfing into your business life, and we're going to scroll down his website because you are a top motivational speaker, best-selling author. Tell us about your overall message.
Look, my overall message is about being healthy, wealthy, and wise. And, I started from a very poor background. So I started with nothing when I was 16. And then from then, I left home at 18 and I went and started into business. So I didn't surf for more or less 10 years. I just worked hard, set myself up, started my own company. And I was really striving for healthy, wealthy, and wise as my life mantra. And, at the age of 46, I managed to retire early from business, and now I actually live my life to the fullest.
No kidding. Okay, tell us about your career. Was it in real estate?
Yeah, well, long story, I wanted to get into real estate when I left school and become a real estate salesperson, but no one would give me a job. I ended up working for an American insurance company, which is now Aon, but that's another story. I worked with that company for 10 years, which was my apprenticeship in sales, leadership, and business. Then I started my own company, which was, in the end, real estate software. So I provided software for real estate agents to help real estate salespeople become better at the game. And then I had that in 2015. I sold it the first time. I sold it again as a shareholder in 2017. And now I am a surfer.
Well, now you have endless choices. I noticed that you haven't retired. It's not like you're sitting in a rocking chair. In fact, my sense is that you are just getting started in the best chapter of your life.
Well, yeah. I mean, in 2018, Google asked me to speak about their Startup Grind series and about business and entrepreneurship. And that launched into what I now am doing, which is speaking publicly, mentoring people, writing books, and sharing the story around the world. And that is just like competing in surfing. You get up on stage and people look at you, they judge you, and just like surfing, I'm world #1 right now. You get judged by a panel of your peers, And they liked it. And it's the same thing with the books I'm doing, the talking I'm doing, the podcast interviews I'm doing. People really like and appreciate the story.
Well, he's a brilliant communicator, and he has all of these gifts that he gives out for free on YouTube. I'm going to show one of his videos.
Let me talk to you about putting your game hat on. And what do I mean by that? Well, look, recently I was doing a workshop and I was paid to be there as a facilitator about presentation skills and sales skills. And it was my turn. And I'm at the back of the room, I'm dressed like this and all was good. And they said, oh, Scotty, you're up next. I went, oh, I was expecting a break. Let me just go and get dressed. Well, they said, Scotty, it doesn't matter. You can be dressed like this. I said, yeah, I know I can, but I'm going to go get dressed. And the reason why I do that is because I like to put my game hat on. I like to get dressed for success. So the reality is I could have been dressed like this. I could have been dressed like this, or this, or even this. Yeah, all right, maybe too far. Now, I could have been any of those other people, and I'm still the same Scotty. The message is exactly the same. But let me give you a real example. Look, I surf, and I surf a lot. But you know, when I put on that competitive rash shirt, I put on that coloured Guernsey, and I go out to surf in a heat, I know I need to perform at my best. There's a transition that you make between just casually doing something and knowing you need to perform to your best. Whenever I compete, I have to do that. And a lot of success comes pure and simply because of your mindset and your ability to be able to switch on and focus on what needs to be done to achieve what you need to achieve right then and there. And that is why I change, because I want to be at the right mindset when it's time to perform.
Well, Scotty, you inspire me. Tell me what the secret is to staying at the top of your game, no matter what your age.
Look, I believe in goal setting. You know, having that long-term goal setting, thinking about what you want to be when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, and setting those goals, looking at that lifelong journey, and then doing what you need to do in those little chapters in between, whether it's this 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, and just continually striving for those. It's funny you talk about retirement.
Sure.
Someone said to me, oh, you're not really retired. I said, yeah, well, I'm just setting a whole bunch of goals right now and going out and achieving them. And then I went, actually, that's all I've done all my life. It's just the sense of urgency now is not the same. I can have some fun, I can travel more, but I'm still setting a bunch of goals and I like achieving them.
Okay, so staying with surfing for a minute, do you surprise people all the time? I have to imagine that there are teenagers out there saying, okay, look, old man.
It's true, yes, that happens. Well, the one thing about getting older now is that, you know, when I was 30 and 40, there was a lot more competitiveness around that age group, and now I'm a bit older. Some people see me as the old man who surfs good, so they actually give me a bit of room and respect, which I didn't get when I was younger, because it was like a mosh pit or an animal farm where everyone was competing for waves. Now I'm the older bloke who surfs good, and they go, oh, okay. You go. It's a different feeling.
Well, you're also a best-selling author. We're going to put the shot on the screen, 5 Systems of Successful People. So we can't go through all 5, but give us one.
Oh, look, well, the most popular one in there is time duplication, even though Business Judo was one of the foundation systems I use for the business. But, you know, Business Thirds, Rule of 100, Sugar and Cream, they're all systems that, in fact, you're using most of them in this business right now. But time duplication is the most popular. And there's one system that every single successful person follows, and that's time duplication. They duplicate themselves, they duplicate their products, and they duplicate their money. In other words, they're not the only person doing work. They have leadership and they employ people. They have more than them doing the work. They're products that they build once and they can actually reuse, scale. And when they make money, they make it make more money. Now, that's the holy grail. If you can get all 3 of those, you can create whatever lifestyle you want.
Wow.
But it's about future-proofing and planning and setting those goals and having that deliberate, intentional action to actually duplicate your time. And that is the one thing that every single successful person does.
Well, Scotty, you're a wildly successful speaker. What kind of groups bring you in? What's your favorite group to speak to?
Business people. Anyone in business or wants to be successful, I totally relate to, and they relate to my stories as well. That's the most popular I guess,
Sure.
crowd that relates to my story and my journey from nothing to a startup entrepreneur at the turn of the century to having a successful exit and now living the lifestyle I want.
Let's talk about the new generation, because every day you turn on the news and everybody's complaining about Gen Z, that they might not have the same stick-to-itiveness or the grit that their parents and grandparents had. What are your thoughts about the next generation?
Look, the next generation, and I think every generation would be sort of the same. There's never been a better time to succeed than now, regardless of which age group you're in. There's so much information, so much ability to learn, so much, so much availability for success in anything. So regardless of the age you're in, the more things become normal, the more you actually have to start thinking differently and be different. And that is... Well, here's one of the cool things. Like even with what you're doing here with the Jeff Crilley Show and what you're doing with your studios, you're becoming the media. So, with this age of influencing, which the new generation understands, they can create their own brands and they can do all these things that weren't available for us 30 years ago. But now they've actually got the opportunity to create their own brand. They don't have to go and get sponsored if they're in sport. They can create their own brand, their own influence, their own channels, and have amazing success.
Okay, in the final couple minutes, Scotty, I want you to give some words of encouragement to the person out there who, I'm going to call them, they're just drifting. You could call them a beach bum. They have the potential to become an elite athlete, but they're just kind of coasting right now.
Well, actually, that's the norm, believe it or not. And in the system in this book, The 5 Systems, I talk about the business of thirds. And one of the parts of the business of thirds is the middle third, where people can become comfortably numb. And they don't get that lucky break for success, and they don't get the adversity either, which means if they don't get the adversity, they don't get forced up to achieve more than they ever can. They become comfortably numb. And how you achieve that grit and determination? Well, like I said, it has to be something that happens to you and forces you to do it, or a lucky break, or going back to what everyone else does, which is genuine goal setting. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And how do I get there? And going and doing it. So that is, unfortunately, adversity is probably one of the best things that could ever happen to anybody. It was for me, and I know it's tough. I know one likes it, but if it wasn't for adversity, I certainly wouldn't be where I am today.
Wow, so profound. I could have you on all day long. We're out of time, so we're going to end with your website, which is ScottySchindler.com, the great Scotty Schindler. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks everyone for watching.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.